Good morning. Good morning, everyone. And it's good to see you all here today. And hopefully we've experienced our share of technical glitches for the day. So, in some sense, today we're kind of wrapping up um, a text that we have been studying for the last 8 weeks. And this is the Japanese title is Hachi Dainen Gaku, eight qualities or eight virtues of a great person or a mature person, someone mature in their practice. And so we're up to number eight. We'll probably have some kind of recap next week, but we'll discuss the final quality or virtue, which um, in a way kind of surprised me to have put so much emphasis on this as the sort of the capping quality. But in translation, it's not engaging in useless argument, not engaging in useless argument. And in Japanese, it's fukeran, fukeran. So I'll read this section first, and then we'll discuss it a bit. The eighth quality is not involving oneself in spurious talk or useless argument that is not beneficial. To realize the Buddha's teaching and not get caught up in illusory discrimination is not engaging in useless argument. To pursue the true reality of dharmas is nothing other than not getting involved in useless discussion. The Buddha said, monks, the mind that partakes in useless or frivolous discussion will only become confused and scattered, even though you may have decided to leave home. He's talking to his monks here. You will never be emancipated. Monks, throw away and distance yourself from all such useless and confusing discussions. If you wish to enjoy the peace and serenity of nirvana, all you need to do is wipe out the sickness of idle talk and useless discussion. That is what is called not engaging in useless argument. So, well, setting aside some of the difficulties of translation here, let's discuss what was presented as a translation by Uchiyama and Wright, who are both practitioners and well-versed in scholarship. So we'll accept their translation at face value. But it raises the question immediately, what is useless argument? Well, the word, first of all, what is argument? Now, the word has many meanings and uses. It has technical uses in law and in mathematics. And then it has sort of everyday uses. Um, and sometimes it's used to describe a heated or angry disagreement. Like, oh, the people in the apartment upstairs are having an argument again. I can hear the dishes breaking. That sort of argument. So sometimes it's more neutral. It's just a proposition with accompanying support for that proposition, either logical support or evidential support, something that is designed to persuade the listener to accept the proposition. So that's an argument. But we're talking here about useless arguments. So what makes an argument useless? And that is something I think we need to explore. There are a couple ways of going at that. One is to, well, kind of study. Uh, I mean, with some irony, all of these little snippets we've been reading from this text are in themselves arguments. I mean, this particular section is trying to convince the reader not to engage in useless argument. So the proposition is that you shouldn't do this, that it's not good. And the evidence is along the lines of it's not beneficial. It will interfere with the path to full awareness, nirvana, full completion of the Buddha's project, to the salvific project of the Buddha, to help save us from the wrath of suffering that is associated with the human condition. And he says we'll never be emancipated, we'll never be free if we engage in useless argument. So that's the case. And Dogen, in his writing, is appealing to authority, to the Buddha, the Shakyamuni Buddha. By at least half of that section is taken from a sutra that describes the Buddha's last words to his disciples. So he's appealing to authority there. I think one thing that I found interesting about this is that I mean, we've only got 8 qualities of a mature practitioner or a mature person, and one of them is related to speech. Speech has a central importance in the Buddha's teaching. One of the suttas in early Buddhism is where the Buddha talks to his son, Rahula, after he has been ordained. And the first instruction to his son is to not lie to himself, not lie to others. The central importance of not lying, having to do with honest speech. And of course, one of the Eightfold Path that the Buddha proposed for us as a guide to our path in life is right speech. And the Buddha had much to say about right speech, but summarizing it in one sutra, he said that right speech was that which was true, that which was timely, that which was spoken with kindness and spoken with goodwill, and furthermore, beneficial, helpful. So those five characteristics of right speech. Well, in this instance, the Buddha is saying that these useless arguments are not beneficial. They don't lead you anywhere. And there is another sutta, MN 63, where one of the Buddha's monks, Malunkyovada, Malunkyovada, I'm sorry, that's the name of the sutra, but his monk is Malankyoputa, Malankyoputa. I think it's Malankyaputa, actually. Anyway, one of his monks comes to him and challenges the Buddha in a way, saying, there are certain topics about which you have not discussed. You have not really shared any information with us. And the monk is really requesting quite insistently that the Buddha discuss some of these things, share his wisdom. And at the conclusion of the sutta, the Buddha responds in this way. He says, Malankyaputa, remember that I have left undeclared as undeclared, and remember what I have declared as declared. And what have I left undeclared? The world is eternal. I have left undeclared. The world is not eternal. I have left undeclared. The world is finite. I have left undeclared. The world is infinite. I have left undeclared. The soul is the same as the body. I have left undeclared. The soul exists. Oh, no, the soul is one thing and the body is another. I have left undeclared. After death, a Tathagata exists. I have left undeclared. After death, a Tathagata, a Buddha, does not exist. I have left undeclared. After death, a Tathagata both exists and does not exist. I have left undeclared. And after death, a Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist. I have left undeclared. And why have I left that undeclared? Because it is unbeneficial. It does not belong to the fundamentals of a holy life. It does not lead to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. That is why I have left it undeclared. And what have I declared? This is suffering, I have declared. This is the origin of suffering, I have declared. This is the cessation of suffering, I have declared. And this is the way leading to the cessation of suffering, I have declared. Why have I declared those things? Because it is beneficial. It belongs to the fundamentals of a holy life. It leads to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. That is why I have declared them. It's referring to the Four Noble Truths, as they're called, and the Eightfold Path. So, what kind of arguments are useless? Well, clearly arguments where no one is listening are useless. And you do witness such things happening fairly regularly, where both parties are supporting their position with either logic, evidence, or perhaps just emotion, and the other party is not listening. So if no one's listening, an argument is clearly useless. And you can make the case that some arguments are useless because they just don't lead anywhere. Particularly arguments about abstractions, about abstract concepts, about truth and justice, freedom, beauty. You can make the case that in some cases it's worth talking about such things, but in general, it requires a context for, well, justice in what kind of situation or what kind of justice are you talking about? Whose justice? And arguments are important. Arguments lead to violence, lead to war. Generally, in any war, there is going to be two sides or more, and all sides think that they are fighting a just war, have a justification for what they're doing. All sides think that they're the good guys and the other side is the bad guys. And generally, in it gets to a war situation, we have a situation where no one's listening anymore either. So arguments are important. They can lead to much suffering. So I think it is important that in Buddhist practice, there is so much emphasis on speech and how the Buddha emphasized in this passage the importance of avoiding useless arguments. And when there was sort of a useless argument on the horizon, the approach the Buddha took was to remain silent, to the frustration of some of his followers. So arguments can be beneficial. I think most Dharma talks involve some kind of argument. I'm trying to make an argument here that speech is important, that being taken care with speech is important, and that some speech is not useful. But um, useless arguments, useless arguments, according to Dogen in this passage, are to be avoided. So I think I'll stop there, and because it raises a number of questions. Um, do you have any experience with useless arguments? Have you witnessed such things? Um, is there any kind of agreement about what constitutes a useless argument? Generally, people engaged in an argument do not think it's useless. And how about the difference between useless argument and really exploratory, discussions. Sometimes we talk about the self. Sometimes we talk about uh, freedom or emancipation or these concepts. What do they mean? And can that be useful? Or is it just best to avoid all of that? Is that an argument? Or can we make a distinction with just exploring ideas? Because we all have to deal with ideas. So I'll leave you with that. What is a useless argument? And how do we best avoid them if we think that that's the case? Thank you very much for listening, and I appreciate that you're all being here today. And we'll go into breakout rooms at this point, and I'll be back in a few minutes.